Each Steam Next Fest is separated by 120 days of time that is not the Steam Next Fest. In that period, there are still plenty of demos, but we just pretend they're not happening and wait for this incredibly short event to try to get to 1,000 of them all at once. So I did exactly that, and here's the good shit I played in this Steam Next Fest. The once well-trodden universe of immersive sims was the perfect canvas upon which to paint gaming masterpieces where you solved all of your problems by creating more problems and tricking your enemies into being part of those problems. After years of the only notable games in this genre being remakes and remasters, we finally have a new one with RetroSpace. Taking a cue from System Shock, you'll wake up in the role of a space janitor on a ship filled with retro-futuristic technology and an absolute shitload of mutated zombie bug monsters that are really excited to end your life. On your journey through twisting hallways and temporarily locked doorways, you'll be avoiding them as much as you possibly can, along with a collection of super deadly automated turrets and the spider creature that scared the absolute shit out of me. But you'll also be collecting every object not glued down to half-assedly arm yourself against them to avoid quickly finding your way into the afterlife. But when they do eat your face off, instead of participating in normal ghost activities, you simply make your way back to a cloning tank where you quickly revive to go collect your crumpled body and hopefully avoid the same fate. And if you make it far enough through this dark, scary gauntlet of violence and occasional cleaning adventures, you'll even unlock your own horrible mutations to help you make it a little further before getting ejected back to a new deficient clone body that vomits every time you see the corpses that exist pretty much everywhere around you. But generating corpses at an alarming rate is kind of the foundation for the Space Marines of Warhammer 40,000, and in Warhammer Survivors you'll be taking that massacre to the 2D bullet heaven you know so well from Vampire Survivors. Just like the classic Punkle adventure, you'll once again be casually scrolling your 2D sprite through a world of enemy 2D sprites moving toward you with malicious intent. But you share your malicious qualities by blasting forth an ever-growing collection of brutal attacks with lore-centric elements like chainswords, heavy bolters, and any other deadly tools of the trade that will randomly strike out from your body at the swarm. These are bestowed upon you through a vibrant display of success with each level achieved by collecting the body-free skulls of your fallen foes. However, you can also swap to a completely different set of characters, weapons, and even menu design from the somehow completely unrelated regular Warhammer world to take on the role of a quasi-medieval fantasy avatar of violence against a unique quasi-medieval fantasy swarm of assholes. Either way, you'll be wandering one of these flat lands of random obstacles, carving a wake of destruction toward floating icon goals until you've been touched enough times to finally succumb to the discomfort. But you'll never find yourself uncomfortable in the cozy simplicity of peacefully driving through the countryside and over the hill. Taking a cue from the series of Mudrunner-style games, you'll find yourself embodied within a four-wheel drive vehicle with the loosely defined task of going in an arbitrary direction until you find something. However, in a move contrary to the general nature of video games, the simple task of moving is actually the hardest part of the experience. Even when you can dodge the trees, rocks, and steep slopes into oblivion, you'll still need to take the reins of every single horsepower in your engine to chug through the challenging terrain, and you'll still encounter plenty of moments where your whole ass needs saving by this handy winch. But when you're not stuck in the mud or doing somersaults down a mountain, you can leisurely explore this lush forest to make your way to these houses that serve as checkpoints where you can respawn when you really fuck up. And on your journey, you'll be able to use your photography skills not only to admire the beauty of nature, but to capture this comprehensive list of fauna and be rewarded with points. Points you can use to upgrade your off-road jalopy, giving it the power and capability to be slightly better at awkwardly getting you from A to the general vicinity of B. However, when A is the ground and B is the top of a mountain with a sheer vertical wall in between, a truck just isn't going to cut it. But creatively climbing that wall with a group of uniquely talented climbers one turn at a time is the entire premise of Ascenders Beyond the Peak. Turn-based rock climbing doesn't seem like the most exciting prospect, especially in a world with several mostly thrilling real-time rock climbing games, but it helps that this mountain and everything on it are constantly trying to kill you. Your goal is to get your team of 3 mountaineers from camp to camp while dodging collapsing rock walls, creepy monsters, other violent mountain climbers, inclement weather, and trying to overcome the horrible reality of having to climb a mountain. Saving your fellow vertical voyagers at the end of the rope is only part of the fun though. You'll also have to make a camp at each respite zone where you can turn the materials you've collected into useful tools, food, and other resources you can use in the next section of your perilous journey to the top. And after you've made that mountain your bitch, you get to return to a home base to take on another mountain mission where you can prep with new crew members, gear, and get to deal with all the trauma your climbers have gained trying not to die a horrible death impaled on sharp ledges in the freezing cold. Yet there is some fun to be had in the freezing cold, and in Hull Rupture you'll venture into the frozen void of space to get your weird human-powered ship across the galaxy as it's repeatedly assaulted by waves of alien monster creatures. Your goal of keeping the ship carrying a mostly evil AI robot alive as it zips along seems pretty simple at first. You'll just need to take all of the human passengers you have and put them to work generating power and manning the facilities. But as you survive the hordes of bad guys that land on your hull and casually walk toward the main entrance, you'll unlock turrets you can build on the surface to take them out before they ever get the chance to beat down that door, as well as special defenses that will post up just inside of that door to make a valiant last stand punching those alien assholes directly in their alien assholes. All of that takes resources though, and just as you unlock these defenses, you'll unlock the mildly annoying process of getting the things you need to obtain and manufacture those resources. And at every stop on your journey through the stars, you can complete events and trade with space people to give you a slightly better chance of not getting your AI overlord destroyed in what is probably the inevitable future reality of humanity. But the future may be a little more exciting if we're the ones driving the spaceship and facing off against those aliens in slightly better circumstances. ZeroSpace isn't shy about pretending to be StarCraft, but unlike every other StarCraft replicating RTS of the past decade, this one actually feels like they tried. This demo lets you take command of the Terran proxy as they fight at war against the almost Zerg, but these Zerg-adjacent bug creatures spread a creep made of pleasant-looking grasses instead of gray sludge, which I'll say is an improvement. But despite their yearning to make every world an enchanting savanna biome, you'll blast them to pieces with your swarms of marines, marine-shaped hero characters, and giant walking battle tanks that look like they're straight out of Homeworld Deserts of Carrick because the guy from that development team actually designed them. But when you're done exterminating the swarm, you'll head back to your ship for another StarCraft-shaped experience of long-winded cutscenes involving drama and political intrigue that will almost make you forget 500 people were created and died in the last mission. You'll even have dialogue choices voiced with surprisingly solid voice acting that makes these character models feel even more out of place with their Lego-styled hair. However, having a campaign that actually seems like they wanted it to be good is only part of the experience. There's also a persistent galaxy war mode that allows you to do missions across this map achieving imaginary goals while making sure you can keep achieving imaginary goals for as long as you could possibly want. Yet achieving goals of uncertain nature can be fun as long as you don't let morality or empathy cloud your judgment, and in Iron Nest's heavy turret simulator, you'll be lobbing car-sized shells miles across a battlefield with impacts you'll only see as a newspaper article at the end of the day. And what you might think is that upcoming game Planetenverteidigung Command Kommandant, this game instead takes you fully underground and puts you in direct control of the components of that gigantic artillery cannon, and it's way easier to say. But rather than feeling like an action game where you're blasting your enemies in dramatic fashion, the experience is subdued, requiring you to follow detailed instructions and procedure and enjoy the magic of painstaking cartography and meticulous precision. You'll receive your mission through this scrolling ticker tape device that gives you sometimes precise but generally pretty vague instructions for where you need to place specified types of shells to obliterate a general vicinity, precision strike a target, or just light up the sky for celebratory fun. Then you're off to the races to casually measure distances across the grid of a map to determine exactly how far you'll be lobbing your civilization eraser and the direction you'll be facing when you do it. Punching that into this calculator with the appropriate amount of gunpowder will provide an elevation you'll need to set, and with that info you can load up your round and powder charges, ram them home, and start spinning that sumbitch around to match the exact specifications of your clipboard notes. Once you've completed all of that requisite knob turning, wheel spinning, switch flipping, and lever pulling, you can yank that massive trigger and watch the carnage unfold via the incredible action of a mechanical arm across that map. But embracing cool technology doesn't necessarily need to be a violent process, and in AGX GP you'll be able to jump into the pilot seat of a blazing fast floating racing machine and pretend like your reflexes haven't gotten progressively more terrible every year that you age. A new title like this pops up seemingly every month or two these days, and in a world on the brink of a new pod racing game, it may not seem that exciting, but this one feels like it's trying something a little different. Rather than just attempting not to slam into the walls, you can instead leap up onto them and race across the sides of the track where that's available. And when there aren't walls to wall grind for the small boost you get in the process, you can still instantly slide to the left or right to occasionally succeed at dodging the obstacles that fly directly at your face. You'll take this mildly acrobatic skill set to a variety of race types beyond the standard race against the bots that are way better than you experience. There are also modes like one where you have to hit certain rings across the track while still going as fast as possible to meet the arbitrary criteria of speeds set by people who actually know what they're doing to achieve a bronze, silver, or perhaps gold if you're some kind of superhuman. And in this process, you'll be able to unlock cosmetic items for your ship, like the ability to make it look incredibly dirty or damaged in a moderate variety of colors. Yet the best use of extreme speeds and tenuous reaction times is defeating your enemies in aerial combat, and Windrunners will take you back to that classic gameplay of 2D dogfighting in the clouds. If you played Luftrausers or its lesser-known sci-fi cousin Hyperspace Dogfights, this should look pretty familiar to you. Much like the latter though, you'll once again dive into a sci-fi world at the helm of a high-speed jet fighter equipped with an ever-growing arsenal of sci-fi appropriate guns, anime missiles, and deadly laser beams to rid the air in your general vicinity of everything attempting to be there. You'll also need to take that brutality to the ground to turn a bunch of random turret-wielding enemies into cool death-shaped explosions. As you fully clear each screen of things that were trying to kill you, you'll be given a chance to pick an upgrade or new tool to make you more effective as a Sky Savage, as well as the choice of your next mission to line up and zip off to. Missions like destroying specific targets, whether they're in the sky or on the ground, and fending off waves of nuisance desperately attempting to make it so you can't do that thing you need to do. And you'll even have boss fights against heavily armored behemoths that will make you question if you were ever good at multitasking as you balance steering, aiming, dodging, firing your collection of weapons, and hitting the perfect timing of dodge roll in conjunction with boost and brake in a desperate attempt to stop dying like a fucking idiot. But this iteration of the Steam Next Fest has officially been destroyed by Valve, and they'll now begin the 4-month process of rebuilding it in time for it to kick off once again at the end of October. However, in the meantime, you can like this video, and YouTube will probably make it so you see more hot takes, warm satire, and tepid commentary about video games from this channel. Just make sure you give a crisp high five to Mega supporter Adam Wutke before you leave to check out more Abbreviated Reviews.